Hey, what's going on, Scatterbrains? Thank you for coming back to another episode of Scatterbrains. See, my name is Travis, and I'm here to do a review for Married at First Sight Honeymoon Island, Season 1, Episode 2. Last week, we met the 16 singles. Only 10 of them remain because the rest of them got kicked off the island, just like Survivor. The jury is still out when it comes to this show. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna like the show, but I'm trying to hold on. So let's just kind of quickly go over what happened in this episode because I really don't feel like much of anything happened. The episode really wasn't that interesting. More than anything, the episode got on my nerves, honestly. So these couples matched themselves last week based on chemistry. That's the one main difference from Married at First Sight is the experts did not do it. But tonight's episode was all about, is that chemistry just surface or is it going to be something deeper? So what was supposed to happen during this episode was the couples had to decide if they wanted to continue getting to know the person that they had matched themselves with last week. If they decided that they wanted to continue to get to know that person, then they would move into a honeymoon suite. And if they decided that they didn't want to continue, then they would get kicked off the island. Pretty much this is almost just like Married at First Sight, except the only difference is, you got to pick who you were kind of linked up with and you didn't have to immediately get married. But the goal of the show is at the end, you have to decide to get married to somebody, to that person, or to not get married. So, I mean, it's still stupid. I just feel like Lifetime or whoever the producers of this show can do a lot better than this. A lot of people down in the comments were saying that this is just a ripoff of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. No, The Bachelor had a spinoff, Bachelorette Island. Something about another island. So they said it's just a ripoff of that. I don't know because I don't watch The Bachelor. I mean, they haven't had a black bachelor yet. So maybe when they get a black bachelor, I'll review it then. But I'm not holding my breath. So Pastor Cal talks about that. He says something about psychology, spirituality, and sexology. Those are, I guess, the three components that they're going to use to help, use to help bring these couples together. So let's start with Eric and Katie. I haven't given these couples names. I don't know if I will because I don't know if I like them enough to give them special names. But Eric and Katie are the couple that this show really doesn't care about. We don't see much of them. We don't really know much about them at all. I know we got a little bit of insight on who they were, but they're not shown really at all during this show, which I think is kind of weird that you have 5 couples that you're supposed to be following and one of your couples you just don't show at all. But I guess it's because they're the least interesting couple on the island. So all I know about them, all I have down is that they decided to take a trip to the mountains for her birthday. And they decided to continue to get to know each other. They moved into the honeymoon suite. And they decided not to sleep in the same bed. He decided to sleep on the couch. Out of all 5, never mind, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. Like, this is really that big of a deal. So next up is Isabella and Tyler. Isabella is the one that was on Married at First Sight, Second Chances. They're both really into each other. They had an instant connection last week. He said that he's happy that he can hold her. He was holding her in the pool, and he was just happy that he could hold her. But she doesn't look like she's that big in general. She looks like she's about 100 pounds wet. They both want the same things. They both want twins, like a boy and a girl. She says that they're soulmates, and I'm just like, how do you know that? Like, I can't say that I've ever met my soulmate. I'm gonna assume maybe they exist. I don't know, but I haven't met anyone that I felt like, oh, you're my soulmate. Nah, that has not happened to me. Maybe I'm missing out on something. But she says he's her soulmate. Hey, all right. Clearly, your choices have led you in the right direction. They both do a lot of smiling when they talk, and that was kind of getting on my nerves in the episode because it started making it difficult for me to want to listen to what they were saying because they were both smiling the whole time. So they would be smiling and they'd be talking through their smile. So they would talk about each other and talk to each other like this, and it would always be in a smile. Maybe it was a small smile, maybe a big smile, but it was always talking to a smile. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. They're going to be the couple that's going to get on my nerves. They decided to meet with Dr. Jessica. And she tried to give them the analogy, I guess you can say, of what happens when you put a hot pot on a cool stove. Tyler says it starts boiling. And then the music dropped. And she was like, no, it cools off. I thought that was funny. But he has doubts about being with Isabella because she was on Second Chances, and I guess he maybe feels some kind of way that she was on TV. But Dr. Jessica brought up a good point that, bruh, you're doing the exact same thing. You're on TV trying to find love, so you really can't like judge her for the fact that she's on the television show trying to find love. You're doing the exact same thing. Moving on to Johanna and Brandon. Johanna. His name's not Joanna. Jana. I think his name is Jana. I think it's Jana. They connected as well, continue to connect. Isabella and Tyler decided to stay married, and they did not sleep in the same bed. Back to the names I just was effing up. They connected about jobs and independence. The experts are very surprised that they match with each other. I think that was the experts' way of saying we don't think they're going to make it once they really get into the meat and potatoes of who each other are. But, we'll see. But he's liking how upfront she is, and they decided to stay married as well. As you see, like, there's not much going on in this episode. There was only one couple who I guess the spotlight was on, and, of course, we'll save them for last. Shannon and Kimber. Shannon is the guy that was on Married at First Sight, Second Chances. Shannon, they're both feeling each other. They're both really attracted to each other. Shannon says he likes her because he likes curvy women. And I was just like, where? I was trying to see what the curves, what he was talking about. So every time she popped up on the screen, I was like, where are these said curves? And I was like, oh, never mind. He talking about like her chin and her shoulder blade and her nose, her ear curves. Like that's the curve. Those are the curves that he was talking about. So I was like, oh, okay, I got what he's saying. The experts also say they would not have matched them on Married at First Sight. That says a lot. One of the big points of contention for them are the fact that they don't see eye to eye as far as children is concerned. He wants to have children. She doesn't want to have children. Now, her situation for why she doesn't want to have children is a little weird. So Kimber says that she was a stay-at-home mom for 3 years to the child of her ex. Okay, so her ex had a child and she was the stay-at-home mom for that child. So she calls herself the stepmom to that child. I get it that her and that child had a special connection. She said she practically like raised her, saw her first steps and, all of that kind of stuff, which I understand that is an important time in a child's life. But she's using that as the basis or reasoning for why she doesn't want children. She says she's been a mother for, I shouldn't do quotations, but she's been a mother to a child for 3 years, and that lets her know that she doesn't want to have a child of her own. I get it, but I'm just still trying to figure out how you ended up a stay-at-home mom to somebody's child that wasn't yours. Like, doesn't make sense, but I don't know. They really didn't stay on that much, but they decided to stay married. Decided to continue to get to know each other, but they did sleep in the bed together. They're the only couple who decided to stay in the same bed. And then final couple that got the most shine this episode was Chris and Jada. Last week, Chris and Jada were the couple who they did not necessarily decide to choose each other, but they told Chris to close his eyes, and whoever he thought about was the person that he chose because he was stuck between Jocelyn and Jada. Jada's black, Jocelyn is white. I'll get to that later. So Jocelyn, who was kicked off last week, told Brandon, who is paired up with Johanna, that Chris said to her 3 times that we have a strong connection, that we're going to pick each other. So I guess he really drilled it into Jocelyn's head that they were going to pick each other. So she was very surprised to find out that she got kicked off the island and he picked Jada. So Pastor Cal says that they're scientifically a strong match. So they end up meeting with Jada and Chris to find out if everything's okay. And, on the surface, they're saying everything is okay, but Jada has trust issues because she was cheated on in her, I don't know if it was her last relationship, but in a major relationship she had in her life, which was like 7 years. So she's having some trust issues, and he does music. And I was like, what kind of music do you do? I don't know if we heard him sing. I might need to go look it up because I'd be willing to bet never mind, I shouldn't say that. But he does music, and he feels like he lives a stereotypical life of a musician, and he just needs to know, can Jada be okay with that? You know, as far as being on the road, all the attention that he would get from girls. So, you know, that's going to be an issue. If it's not going to be an issue now, it's going to be an issue later, because he does give off player vibes. I mean, you know, that he just does. But Jada did say in the episode that her purpose for dating was to get married. And I was like, thank you for somebody who understands the right way to do it. You know, I know marriage isn't for everybody, but if anything, date with a purpose. I mean, dating just to date, I don't agree with that. I always dated with the purpose, especially when I became a conscious thinking adult. I always dated with a purpose. I always knew that marriage was the end game for me. And if we weren't going in that direction, okay, you know, I'll see you later, go your way, and I'll go mine. We're not going to waste each other's time. So I think it's so important for people to date with a purpose, especially if you want to get married. And if you can't find somebody who's on the same page as you, go find another book. So that is her reasoning for having trust issues, because she knows what she wants. I don't think I've heard Chris talk about wanting to get married or anything like that. But they decide to continue to get to know each other, and he sleeps on the couch. And then in the most manufactured way, and this is when I really got irritated with the episodes, because obviously reality is not fully reality, but when it gets to the point where you can tell that it's manufactured, that's when I have a problem with it. And then it was the end of this episode that I had a problem with, because we already knew Jocelyn was showing up, and I already knew she didn't just happen to show up. The chick never went home in the first place. She was kept at the hotel, probably secluded from everybody else, for a reason, because they saw that there was something there between the three of them, and they said, oh, we need to spice this thing up, so we're gonna bring her back in. So that's what they did. Jocelyn shows back up at the end of the episode talking about, Chris, can I talk to you? And Chris immediately says yes. Then he goes to Jada and says, are you okay with that? But at that point, it doesn't matter what Jada says, because you've already agreed to go talk to this girl who should have been like back home, wherever it is that she's from. So, because then he's asking her, like, are you cool? Are you sure? It doesn't matter at this point. You already told the girl, you already told Blondie over here that you was going to go talk to her. So, you know, they're talking, and he says it's nice to see her. He agrees that he did think that she was the prettiest girl there, that he has the strongest connection with her, and that it's a to be continued type of situation. But it irritates me, because I feel like Lifetime can do better than this. I mean, you already know when somebody is mic'd and they have a mic on and their audio is being captured by the cameras, that they had to get mic'd up by some producer of the show. So nobody's just walking up to cast members and having conversations. This was all planned out. Okay, and it's irritating me, and I'm not about to get worked up over this fake stuff. Okay. There's somebody who lives like 2-3 doors down from us in another house, and they don't have a key to this house that they live in. And every night around this time, you can hear them banging on the door trying to get in. And I'm just like, what are you doing, and why don't you have a key? And why is it at this point nobody is leaving the door unlocked for you? I have some good news coming. I can't talk about it yet, but I will say there's going to be probably a week or two in November where I'm not going to be able to do my reviews. So I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. I'll let you know what those weeks are, but just know that there's going to be at least 1 week where you won't be getting a review from me that week for either show, 90 Day Fiance or Married at First Sight. But y'all let me know down in the comments what y'all thought about this episode of Scatterbrains. Thank you so much to those who watched the first Married at First Sight Honeymoon Island video and commented and rated and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if anybody shared it. And thank you to those who've been watching the 90 Day Fiance videos as well. I truly appreciate it. I can't tell y'all enough. If you have any video suggestions that you want me to do, topics that you want me to talk about, please leave those down in the comments. I know some people have left a couple, and I'm going to try to circle around to them for Friday Roundup. Or if you have a question that you want me to do for Ask Travis, please send it to my email, because I love doing Ask Travis videos. You can send it to scatterbrilliancy@yahoo.com, which is the email down in the description. And I think that's it. Y'all be safe out there. Y'all know there was a shooting here in my city at a high school, and it's a lot going on in Charlotte. So y'all take it easy, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.